Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And Cataclysm is right around the corner, and it is one of my favorite expansions for a specialization that I hold near and dear to my heart, the Balanced Druid. I would argue that this is where I hold my fondest memories from, so much so that I jumped immediately onto the Cataclysm beta and started leveling from level 1 to remind myself of the nostalgia of it. And in today's video, we're going to be covering all the awesomeness that this specialization really has to offer for you in Cataclysm, and to make sure that it is the right fit for you. So if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with everything related to World of Warcraft, then smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. Now, the first thing that I noticed upon leveling in the beta was a very disturbing quest where they have you kill homeless people in Westfall. It was very strange and very odd in game, and then little children come and rob their corpse. A very grim dystopian future here for Cataclysm. But regardless of that, I've got a talent tree calculator for us to go through to see exactly how awesome Balanced Druid is. So one of the first things is Nature's Grace. This is going to give you with 3 points 15% spell haste after you cast Moonfire, Regrowth, or Insect Swarm, and with a 1 minute cooldown. And when you gain an Eclipse, you will have this reset. This is going to be a huge engine for giving us a ton of haste that we didn't really have a lot of access to. It's going to be super fun with this new talent tree. Starlight Wrath is reduced down to 3 talent points, so you can spend less points to get the overall haste. Now in PvP, where I'm predominantly going to be playing, I'm probably going to skip past this, going for Nature's Majesty, which is just going to be a flat out 4% crit chance. Genesis is providing us periodic healing increase, but also the duration of our Moonfire and Insect Swarm will last longer. This is really important, as Balanced Druid is all about keeping dots on multiple targets, calling down stars, and doing monstrous amounts of AoE damage. We have Moonglow as an option to reduce the mana cost of our damage and healing. I'm very curious to see how the tuning ends up coming, depending on what patch they decide to do. I would assume that they're going to follow the same lines that they did with Wrath of the Lich King, which means, end of expansion balance tuning, but the first season 9's PvP gear, or gear in general. So I'm not sure how bad mana regen is going to be up front, given that we've never played that even on, other types of servers. That type of gameplay is not available. So Balance of Powers is providing us flat out spell damage as well as hit rating based on our spirit effects. So likely I'm still going to be leaning into spirit gear. Just a little bit, just to make sure we're getting hit cap. Euphoria is going to be providing us a lot of mana regeneration. So the main part of this one is when we reach Eclipse, we're going to be getting 8% of our mana back, and Eclipse is a new mechanic for this. Actually, we're going to be getting 16% with 2 points into this. So we're going to be getting a lot of mana back. We still got Moon Conform, of course. We're still going to be providing now haste to the party members and raid members, which is really good, as opposed to Critical Strike in the past. We're providing spell haste. Haste is just a lot better. It's super smooth. Typhoon, and we've got talents to now amplify our Typhoon, and Shooting Stars. This is absolutely the GOAT when it comes to Balanced Druid. This thing is so fun. I miss this thing so much from the current versions of World of Warcraft. It's just a 4% chance when you deal damage with Moonfire or Insect Swarm to instantly reset the cooldown of Star Surge and make it instant cast. So Proc City, baby. This is the best thing about Balanced Druid. Just flat out. We still got Alkin Frenzy. You're likely still only going to put 1 point in this, especially for PvP, because the chance increases, but it's still the same amount of damage, and you're going to get attacked a lot, so you can scoop by with only about getting 1 point in that. Gale Winds is going to be increasing the damage of our Hurricane and Typhoon, and increasing the range of our Cyclone by up to 4 yards. So it's really good just for all of these things across the board, whether you're PvEing and AoEing mobs down, or Typhooning for massive AoE pressure and knockbacks to trying to cyclone enemies. And the next new addition from Wrath of the Lich King is the Solar Beam. And the Solar Beam in Cataclysm, to my memory, was massive. It was massive. I still think I have a video. One of my first videos uploaded on this channel was me playing arenas back in Cataclysm with like Snuts against Talbadar, and this Solar Beam was huge at the beginning of Cataclysm. It just like covered like half of a pillar. So I'm really wondering what size of Solar Beam we're going to end up seeing. Dream State, when you cast an Innervate on yourself, you're going to regain additional 15% of the total mana over its duration. So again, more mana regeneration. Force of Nature is still in the game. Our tree buddies are punching people. And we get Sunfire, which is when we go into Solar Eclipse, we're going to be able to convert Moonfire into Sunfire, and it gives us 2 nature damage over time effects. So that Solar Eclipse becomes really scary. You're going to likely spend a lot of time in this Eclipse, especially when it comes to PvP. because you're actually able to kind of pause the eclipse that you were in a lot more, and it did more for your overall spells. Earth and Moon is going to be causing the detonations of our wild mushrooms, our Wrath, and our Starfire to apply 8% increased damage. And it's also just going to flat out increase all of your damage by 2% baseline, so up to a 10% damage increase, which then takes us into the next part, which is amazing, which is the wild mushrooms, just period. Wild mushrooms, or when your Trents die, are going to provide this snare on the ground. It's this huge circle. It was really fun for whenever enemies were running away from you. Big AoE damage. You could cyclone people and then time the explosion of these mushrooms as they came out, and it was really fun. Lunar Shower, when you cast Moonfire, you're going to gain Lunar Shower. Lunar Shower increases the direct damage done by your Moonfire by 15% and reduces its mana cost. This stacks up to 3 times. Now, Moonkin and Kata spammed Moonfire, at least in PvP. You spam Moonfire, and this was one of the main reasons. Lunar Shower and Shooting Stars, keeping your dots up and spamming Moonfire, allowed you to create a huge amount of pressure. And then finally, obviously, Starfall, which is the iconic spell for Balancer to still carrying forward, and still quite a formidable ability to use against your opponents. Now, when we go into the other talent trees where we can start choosing some other abilities, there's actually some interesting choices that I'm surprised I never considered the first time that I played Cataclysm. One of those being Predatory Strikes, which most importantly, your finishing moves have a 10% chance per combo point to make your next non-instant nature spell instant cast. So you would actually, if you could start it in cat form, you could actually get an instant clone, much like a Feral Druid, even as balance. And this is something that when I played cat originally, I don't know if it's because you were way too squishy in cat form. That's why I just never really tried it or remembered it the first time. But it's something that I'm definitely thinking about giving a go, especially maybe in double DPS 2v2. But Heart of the Wild is going to be just increasing our stats flat out and giving us a huge boost of tankiness, both in bear form with stamina, as well as intellect in caster, and actually attack power in cat. And this was the cool part about Boomkin and Cataclysm, was that your cat abilities actually did some substantial damage, and you had a lot of extra spells like healing spells and bear form abilities. I think you actually had an interrupt as well in bear form. It was super fun to just shapeshift and really kind of like feel powerful like that. So we're going to get the reduced mana cost and shapeshifting just to make sure that we're not running out of mana too fast. But also Blessing of the Grove is going to be giving us direct Moonfire damage. And remember, with Lunar Shower increasing our direct damage of Moonfire and these proccing Star Surges, there's going to be a lot of instant cast damage that's going to feel really good and strong. Master Shapeshifter is just going to increase our damage basically in all forms, but 4% in Moonkin form, which is going to be most important. And then you're kind of left with these 2 points for talent tree, which is why I was thinking about trying Predatory Strikes possibly when Cataclysm comes out here the second time around. You can also get maximum mana by 5% with Furor, which depending off mana is the issue. Then we definitely got this as an option. I don't think I'm going to be going into the Feral Swiftness just because it's going to be, spending a huge amount of time in those forms. Or you can just take magic damage reduction, which is going to get up to 4% with 2 points in it. That's kind of what I'm expecting to be the default selection, is just 4% spell damage taken reduced. But if mana is a problem, we could definitely go for the mana trees. This was a super, super fun specialization to play. We still have all the same glyphs carrying forward from Wrath of the Lich King. Insect Storm is going to be a big one here, and the cooldown reduction on Starfall, as well as Star Surge has one here. So when your Star Surge deals damage, the remaining cooldown of your Starfall is reduced by 5 seconds. So those proccing dots on Star Surge are going to be fueling you more into using Starfall. So this is going to be a really fun play style. I absolutely love Boomkin when it comes to Cataclysm. It was so much fun. Also, some important tidbits to note is that Thorns is actually a cooldown now. So when you attack a mob, you can press Thorns and it will do substantial damage to the target that it attacks, as opposed to like in other iterations of the game where it's not super substantial. It's very scary for fast attackers like rogues and feral druids. Just super fun gameplay overall. I really can't wait to play it. I love that we get all these different abilities in different shapeshift forms. This version of Wild Mushroom is easily one of my favorites. We get a ton of mobility. Here's the Skull Bash that we're going to be able to get. Even as Balancer, we're going to get the ability to kick. It's just one of the best times to play a Balancer, honestly. Whether you're playing PvE or PvP, it's my favorite iteration. So I hope you guys like this overview of what's going to be available to it. If you liked it, make sure to press the subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.